plan for this type of scenario, and there we have it. Yeah. The king's pawn opening, and we're going to see a repeat of what we've had in previous games.
Yeah, so again, the anti-Berlin variation of the Spanish opening, that keeps maximum tension, all the pieces on the board. Both sides have just castled their kings, slightly different from what Nakamura tried against Magnus a couple of games ago. This time, though, it's a heavy opening theory battle. This position has been studied by both players. I've seen both players have this position on the board in their games with both colours, with white and black. So it's a clash of ideas here. White just bringing his rook to the centre. Soon we might see white expand in the middle of the board. White might push a pawn in the centre to try and gain more space, to try and kick away some of the black pieces. Magnus there, he's paused. He's trying to remember what his opening preparation says, what his coaches have told him to play there. He kicks back the white bishop. The white bishop steps back happily, retreating to a safer square. I expect to see Magnus maybe continue harassing that white bishop. Maybe he'll push back forward with a pawn. It's not clear where black wants to place his pieces yet, so he's going to wait and maybe just try to make some useful moves. OK, he keeps his bishop nice and safe. Very logical there.
Yeah, well, incidentally, the players were following one of their games that they played in the New Chess Classic. But, OK, they're now in totally new territory. And Hikaru playing a move that we've seen quite often. We've seen Magnus be very successful with it, just picking up the corner pawn, moving out one square, just to cover and control the potential mobility of the black knight. And this is also incredibly thematic. Magnus shifts his knight that was on the left side and is moving it to the right.
Now, all those knights now are going to dance towards the right side of the board. White spending several moves relocating his knight. Those two black knights are going to keep the black king nice and safe. White's knights are going to also occupy the same squares just to keep White's king nice and safe. And now Magnus, he doesn't hang around, doesn't waste any more time. He breaks first in the centre. I was about to say, whoever can expand in the centre first tends to have the advantage in these types of positions. Normally, White is the one to win that race. White is able to occupy the centre with his pawns. This time, Magnus, maybe with the help of a pawn sacrifice, he is trying to challenge in the middle of the board. That's slightly surprising that Hikaru didn't clarify the centre. He didn't trade a set of pawns. Instead, just bringing the queen across one square. But that does allow a trade. Maybe Magnus will be tempted to just play pawn takes pawn in the middle of the board and try and make this pawn structure as symmetrical as possible. It's harder to win with symmetrical pawn structures.
Yeah, I agree with you there, David. I think that is absolutely what's going to happen, because the tension has just gone from the centre of the board with that trade, and it's just much easier to handle. And, oh, well, nope.
Wow, OK.
Absolutely not.
I'm gobsmacked that Magnus didn't seize the opportunity to just take those pawns away from the centre of the board and just kill half of the dynamism, half of the flexibility of White's position. Suddenly, OK, yes, he solidified the centre as black. That's very sensible. You occupy the centre with your pawns. But there's so much more tension in the position now. He only needs a draw, Magnus Carlsen, and I think taking the pawns in the centre would have almost guaranteed him at least a solid game. Got him closer to that desired draw. OK, he has solidified the centre instead. What can White try to do? Will White try to jump his knights towards that right flank?
I think so. I mean, because then that adds more choice and adds more spice to the equation, because, you know, should black try to capture pawns in the centre, well, then maybe the knight can capture. Well, nope. We're not predicting the moves here, David. Did not anticipate moving the bishop one square forward.
Yeah, that's very unorthodox, right?
Totally. I mean, I would be expecting the bishop to go somewhere else. But, OK, I think this is all done in light of the knight hop that is being threatened. But it seems very, very, very tight in the back row. Look at Hikaru's pieces.
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling claustrophobic just looking at White's pieces there in the middle of the board. White's pieces, they're too bunched up together, not active at all. Magnus Carlsen, that's a really nice and important move in these types of positions. He just advances his pawn one square, taking squares away from potentially White's bishop, White's knight, just preventing any active ideas. And suddenly, because black has one extra central pawn right now, black is the one who will dictate when the tension is clarified. This is very easy play by Magnus Carlsen now. Very simple plans as well. And you just needs to bring his bishops
yeah.
out. Yeah.
Well, finally we saw Hikaru pick up his knight. And, well, you said it. All Magnus needs to do is move the light square bishop and it's out. And what is this move? Tucking the queen. OK.
I mean, I said his strategy should be keeping pieces on the board at all costs, but this is going to the extreme. Keeping your pieces on bad squares, keeping your piece on passive squares. White's queen, yeah, I mean, that's not a good piece right now. Black can simply move his queen to an active square, and what's the problem?
Yeah, right. I mean, sidestep with your queen, move it to the left side with one, just to reinforce the centre. I agree with you. What is the plan? I don't know what the queen is. Well,
okay,
Magnus taking space on the left side, the queen side as we call it, and there he goes. He steps forward with the queen, and look at how well protected Black's centre is, and look how many squares he controls. This is a dream. Yeah. I mean, I don't see how Hikaru can even think about initiating any active operations.
This has been a disastrous opening for Nakamura. He's clearly come with a strategy of keeping pieces on the board, keeping pawns on the board. We're about to see the first trade. The first pieces leave the board, the first set of pawns, but yeah, I mean, White is just too cramped. Black has more space. After Black recaptures that pawn in any way, actually, you can most likely just take it back with the pawn, but maybe Magnus will get tempted to trade some pieces first. Yeah, he does take back with the pawn, and look at White's pieces. They're all camped on their first 3 rows. No active pawn breaks, no way to explode open the centre, no threats. Everything's defended for Black.
Yeah, and just look at the freedom that Black has with the rooks. I mean, he can do whatever he likes. He can put one rook here, and look how terrible it looks with the white pieces. I mean, OK.
It's been very one-sided so far, but Nakamura decides to finally stake a claim in the centre, allowing Black's pawns even further forward, and now dropping back the white knight. At least he's... OK, Black now dropping back his bishop, lining up the same strategy that he used in the previous game to win, in the previous blitz game. Black's queen and Black's bishop on the same diagonal again, potentially going to threaten checkmate. White now wasting so much time with his queen. White's queen doing nothing pretty much. White's knight's having to retreat. Black has the bishop pair. Black has more space. Black has a potential attack. Yeah. This is dominance from Magnus Carlsen.
Total. This is a flawless display of domination. And now you can see the next move that's going to be coming is some pawn moves, like Harry the H-pawn is going to start moving, and where can...
That black pawn is going to advance, dislodging the white knight in front of the white king, and White's king will have no more protection. OK, the white king goes to the corner, but what's the idea? Black's pawn is just going to advance.
Well, you've got to make a move, David. And time situation, OK, Magnus is just under 2.5 minutes. Not that worrying for these speed demons.
OK, Black just takes his bishop off the bottom rank, connecting the black rooks. White's queen sidesteps. White would love a queen trade right now. Magnus should not go for it. I don't think he'll be tempted. He can block that trade with his bishop, for example. He can even just step the black queen back 1 square, keep those queens on the board, play for the attack. White has no counterplay. White has no active plan in the position.
And I'm just going to jump in and say that the 4th game between Fabiano Caruana and Jan Nepomniachtchi ended in a draw. OK. So in about 14 minutes, they too will head into tie breaks in the first blitz game. So we do have a lot more tension and a lot more fun to go in today's show. Yeah.
David, your suggestion has been played. You know, Magnus is not having a queen trade and now is simply aligning the rooks. And the big question is always, what is White going to do? Black doesn't need to do anything fancy.
OK, Black retreats his bishop the whole way back. And note how he keeps the queens on the board. Trading the queens would suddenly release all the tension. White would never have to worry about checkmate anymore. Now Black's pieces, they're slowly starting to swarm towards White's king's position, towards that king side. Black's knight now joining the action, also stepping out of the way of Black's pawns. Black's pawns are about to start running up the board on that right flank. That's where Black has the advantage. Black actually has more pawns, a pawn majority on that side of the board. That's where he should be playing. Look at White's pawn majority. White has extra pawns on the left side, but what's he doing over there? There's simply... White's rooks are blocked in, White's knights are blocked in. I wouldn't be surprised if Nakamura calls it a day sometime soon, because I don't even see a move for him. This has been one of the most one-sided blitz games I've ever seen between these 2 heavyweights.
Wow. Yeah, but you never won a game by resigning, so you just got to keep going and trying not to lose on every move. OK.
His face, Nakamura, he knows.
It's
he
ugly.
Can't even find a move.
Can you
There's nothing productive to be done in White's position.
Move a knight. Move on. OK, so there you go. Hikaru finds a move and is on the other side of the board, irrelevant to where the action is happening. And Magnus just seizes space. Look at him, he's jumping on the chair.
Yeah. That's how I used to sit when I was a kid. But yeah, Magnus, he's giving himself that energy. Look at Black's pawns. They are coming. The White Rook trying to create some chaos, finding an open line. There is a threat. White wants to capture Black's light squared bishop to undermine Black's defense of the central pawns. But that bishop can simply step back. OK, instead, Magnus defends his central pawn. Now there's no idea or no viable idea yet of White's rook sacrificing itself for Black's bishop. White has an open line on that left side of the board, but it's irrelevant, right, Jovanka?
Totally. I mean, what is the rook doing? The very real action is happening on the right. The White king is about to get seriously hunted, and the black pawns are just going to start motoring down. This is every chess player's dream position, and to have it in a must-win situation, I mean...
Look at the bar as well, +5 for Black, and material is level on the board. There's no checkmates, it's level material. That's how dominant Black's position is.
And Hikaru has been forced to play one terribly ugly move. And now Magnus has a protected passed pawn to boot. So better pieces, attack.
Look at Hikaru.
Yeah, I mean,
laughing.
Yeah, the thing is that sometimes when you play so horrifically, you just have to smile and go, well, this is not working for me, and just keep making the moves. The best thing to do is play quickly, and as long as you can't spot an immediate loss, chances are there aren't any.
So White's queen is attacked. She has to move. She also has to keep protecting her rook at the bottom of the board. Black's queen is on a nice diagonal. But once White's queen moves away from this attack, Black's queen is going to jump into the position and give check to the White king. We're going to see it. Black's queen is going to jump in.
No,
okay,
he doesn't.
not yet.
No,
same idea, but different order.
Exactly.
Once White's pawn recaptures that bishop, Black's queen will jump in with check. White's pawns are disappearing. The shelter around the White king is gone, and it's going to be checkmate in a few more moves.
Wow. Will he resign?
No, well, he's made a move. He's defending in a rather unique way. The rook has managed to snake its way from the left to the right, but, OK, it's going to be all over.
Yeah. OK, the bishop just retreats. Magnus keeping things simple. There were other deadlier ways of finishing off this game, but he wants to play safety first chess. He trades the bishop. As soon as White recaptures, his rook will disappear. Magnus wins.
Oh, look at that celebration from Magnus Carlsen. He is the winner of an extremely tense quarter-final match.